some setting stuff up. First thing I'm going to talk about is just the imaging tool. It hasn't changed at all from last year. You just have an icon on the desktop when you install your software. And then it's the exact same thing. The first thing it'll do is it'll search for your Creo. Obviously our robot's not on, so it's not going to be able to find the Creo. It's okay. Until it finds the Creo, you can click rescan now.
What's that when?
It's probably just better you create the spamming, rescan now button. Other than that, there's nothing different about it. For beta testing, they've been releasing new images every week or every 2 weeks, so we've been imaging quite a bit. The one thing you have to keep in mind though is whenever you make an imaging change or you re-image a Creo with a different image than what was already on there, you have to make sure that your software is also compatible with that image, because the FPGA will not recognize, or like with WinRiver, it uses the remote connections system, and that won't be able to recognize the Creo if they're both using different images. So if the Creo says version 8 and over here the workbench is updated to version 5, there'll be a conflict. And if it's WinRiver that's an update behind, they'll give you a very complicated error. It's like page long. It's absolutely useless. It just basically means you have to change the workbench update. The workbench update release are, it just looks like, this is the WPI library update right there. That's just the source code for the C++. If you were doing Java, it would say WPI library J at the end of that. And then with LabVIEW, they have their own update, which usually just says NI update for LabVIEW. And it just updates the library. With Workbench, they will release a Workbench update that is separate only for WinRiver Workbench. And you have to install that, and that's what I was talking about, because the remote systems connections will not be able to connect to the Creo if they're both on different versions. So every time you download an image and you plan on re-imaging the Creo, make sure if you're using WinRiver that you also have the compatible Workbench update with it. Other than that, updates are released probably as frequently as they were last year. The update for the driver station is not on here. But basically, it's the same NI logo as you have on the Creo, and it just says driver station, like install. As I mentioned earlier before lunch, there are two different software installation files. One is, I don't know how they're going to name it, but for now they've named it large and small. The large is for any computer that you're installing with no development tools currently on it, and that's just basically the driver station, and that just lets you run. But if you do have development tools or plan on installing development tools, you'd have to get the appropriate update for the driver station and the dashboard. It's just one update for both, and as soon as you install it, it'll just overwrite your previous version. It'll just overwrite both the driver station and the dashboard. To check the current version of the driver station and the dashboard, you open up the driver station, and then you go into the Diagnostics tab. Over here, there's a date. Right now it says 2009-11-05. Obviously, that's November 5th. You just check if that's the latest. If it's not, then you want to update. And it's just similar to updating on the Quick Byte. Any questions? Yeah.
Last year to update the driver station, you needed for a flash drive.
Right. On this, you wouldn't need to do that if you had internet access, because you could just download it directly. But if your classmate wasn't connected to any wireless network or even through LAN, then you have to put it on here. And if you're not even using the classmate, right, then whatever computer you're using on, if it can't directly download it, then you need some way to transfer the file. Another thing, as some of you may notice, the classmate does not come with any optical drives. So if you find that the classmate in the kit of parts has or is missing rather whatever development tool you want to use, like for example, this was missing WinRiver when we were shipped the classmate. what you would have to do is just copy the directory, the set, like you just put it into the CD into any computer with a CD drive, go into the folder of the CD and then just copy it onto USB, and then you can use the USB for the classmate to just install it and work the exact same way.
Yeah, you could also get network optical drive software, which will enable you to use another computer's optical drive over network. And yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Any questions?